The Supreme Court of Canada has cancelled the result in the Montreal area riding of Terrebonne from last spring's federal election. The justices announced their decision yesterday following a hearing after a woman in the riding revealed that she had mailed in her vote for the bloc, but discovered it was never counted after her special ballot was returned due to an error on the envelope's address. The Liberal candidate was declared the winner by one vote over the Bloc Québécois candidate. Joining me now is CTV News political commentator and former Director of Communications for Prime Minister Paul Martin. Scott Reid, good to see you this morning.
Morning, Lauren.
So, Scott, I want to start with this week's tragic events in BC. You know, we saw some rare moments of unity this week amongst the federal party leaders, including at last night's vigil in Tumbler Ridge. What did you make of that?
Well, it was an extraordinary and necessary expression of unity among our political leaders. And, you know, politics may divide, but grief, tragedy, compassion for what a community is experiencing brings people together. And you saw that in the conduct of the party leaders. And I can just tell you, having worked for a prime minister, when these events occur, our political leaders do feel it. I mean, obviously, it's nothing in comparison to what people in the community and the families are going through. But if you're the prime minister, if you're the leader of the opposition, you're speaking to members of parliament, you're speaking with the mayor, the people on the ground, you're speaking with families. And that means you are listening to their stories and their grief. And that brings out empathy. That brings out human sympathy. And so you can be certain that that expression of community and that expression of concern was sincere from all the leaders.
Absolutely. Unity is so important during times like these. So, Scott, meanwhile, in Quebec, the Supreme Court has invalidated the results of last year's election in Terrebonne, a Montreal area riding. Do you think this was a decision the Carney government expected the court to make?
Possibly not, insofar as it overturned a lower court decision. But, you know, I think this is a welcome decision because no matter whether it's one vote or 100, surely you want to be working within a system that does everything possible to count every legitimately registered vote, every legitimately cast vote. And ultimately, that's the side, roughly, that this decision comes down on. There'll be a by-election now, and that's going to have lots of political implications. But the broad stroke of this decision is when we know that there's a vote that was authentically cast, count it.
So this is just the latest of multiple by-elections the Prime Minister will have to call this year. Do you think this decision makes it more likely Carney will call an election this spring, as some have been wondering, of course?
No, I think that's unrelated to this specific development. This development may not have been expected, but we do already, as you say, have resignations from the Commons. We have at least one member of parliament has indicated that he wishes to vacate his seat in Edmonton Riverbend. So we've got to have a series of by-elections. Could they be rolled up into a general election? Of course they could be. But I don't think that the decision in Terrebonne, the Quebec district where the Supreme Court ruled, I don't think it's going to really affect the math. What's driving Mark Carney right now, whether it's to call it a general election or whether it's to manage these by-elections, is majority math. He wants to get to that magic number of 172 members of parliament that allow him to control legislation in the Commons, allow him to control committees. So that's ultimately, this got a little bit more difficult, but the goal for Carney remains the same.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Scott.
Thank you.
That is CTV News political commentator Scott Reid.